Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is Carolina Mariposa. I am a medical intuitive who also has a background in early childhood mental health, psychology, and a variety of holistic healing practices. And I founded Butterfly Grove to support highly sensitive children, teens, and parents in feeling more grounded, joyful, creative, and empowered. Today, I am thrilled to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is music. It can amp us up, it can calm us down, it can make us cry, it can help us express difficult emotions. And in all those ways, it's an amazing tool for us to use as highly sensitive people to heal ourselves. Last week, we talked about creativity, and I wanted to drill down a little bit on music specifically because it's one way that I love being creative, and I feel like it's sort of a universal language that highly sensitive people can use to influence our moods and our energy. So as a highly sensitive person, you probably already have your go-to songs if you're a parent or a teen. Even my toddler has her go-to songs. Baby Shark is very popular in our house for cheering people up, well, cheering the youngest person up. Today's video is going to talk about how we might harness that power of music as a healing tool and how we might use it as highly sensitive people to calm ourselves when we're on sensory overload or emotional overload and get back to a grounded, calm, centered state. So there's actually been some research about this, about how powerful music can be as a healing tool for the general population. And in case you hadn't heard about it, I wanted to share a few of my favorite pieces of information about it with you. So one is a study from Stanford that took place about 15 years ago that shows that our brain waves actually change when we're listening to different rhythms. There's also studies that show that drumming specifically can increase the alpha waves in your brain, which increase feelings of well-being and euphoria. So if you're looking to regulate yourself or recover from an episode of overwhelm or overload, it's great to use drumming or some kind of rhythmic activity as a way to soothe yourself. And some people have drums in their house, and that's great if you do, but you don't need to have a drum. You've probably had the experience of just tapping out a rhythm on a table. You can even tap it on your body. Anything that gets that rhythm going through your body and engages your hands or your feet, if you're stomping, in creating that rhythm is helpful to regulate and recover from an incident of overwhelm. Of course, the other aspects of music that are healing for us, not surprisingly, are the melodies or the tone, the instruments that are in there, the person's voice that's singing, if they're singing, and also the lyrics, of course, are very powerful sometimes in helping us express what we're feeling. So I encourage you to, anytime, tune into whatever music you need. Really blast it if you need to, or if you're trying to calm down with the music, just play your favorite song and sing along if you can. If you don't feel like you're a singer, that's okay. You don't have to sing, but it is sometimes more powerful if you're able to make the noise from your own body. So if you're engaging with a rhythm physically, or if you're singing or even just humming along, it can have a more powerful healing effect than if you're just listening. So I'm going to give a couple of examples of how I like to use music in my personal life, in my work with young children, and in my work with teens, so you have a sense of some of the things that I've tried, and hopefully you'll find them helpful. So first I'll start with the little ones. I'll talk about a client I worked with a few years back. He was about 4 years old, very highly sensitive in a lot of ways, especially in the sense of touch and hearing. And visually, he really needed to be in dark rooms pretty often. It was hard for him to be in any room that had a lot of light in it. And he also had a lot of trouble with transitions, so moving from one activity to another. And so with this little guy, we worked a lot by introducing music into any time there was going to be a stressor into his day. And the way we did that in our sessions was, knowing that transitions were a challenge for him, I would start singing with him about halfway through the session to prepare him for the transition. And because he was a little one and because it was an easily accessible song, I chose Row, Row, Row Your Boat. So that song both became a signal for the fact that we were going to be starting to transition out of the session. And because he had such difficulty with transition, I did start about halfway through because I wanted to give him that whole half hour to really get used to the idea and process the transition and have a successful transition. So I would intersperse singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat with different instructions to him, like starting to clean up or instructing him on other coping techniques like breathing. And over time, I would just sing very rhythmically, very slowly, over and over again. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. I would sing the whole song over and over throughout that last half hour. And he didn't particularly like the song. He didn't like that I was singing it, and he certainly let me know that early on. He would tell me, I don't like that song, I don't want you to sing that song, but a lot of that was just his way of reacting to the fact that he knew a transition was coming. And I was persistent, so I encourage parents to be persistent with little kids if they do argue or talk back about the things that you're trying. And over time, this little song, this common song that everybody knows, became something that we used in our sessions, and gradually getting transitions down to about 10 minutes with him being comfortable and not melting down the way that he had before he came to me. And then he was also able to translate this to home and to his school. We talked to his school staff about it. I talked with his parents about it. And we would use that song as sort of his cue that it was time to take a few deep breaths and get ready to transition out. And what we noticed over time was, instead of the adults in his life introducing the song, they would just have to say, okay, we're going to get ready to go in about 10 minutes. He would start singing the song to himself quietly. And that told us that he'd really internalized the fact that this rhythm, this repetitive, slow, soothing song was calming for him enough to help him successfully transition. So that's one example of how I might use music in a really simple way. With teens that I've worked with, I know that teens have a lot of peer pressure, more so than a little 4-year-old who doesn't really worry about what people think of him in preschool. So the teens that I've worked with, I'll often coach on techniques that they can practice internally so that people aren't thinking you're weird or paying attention to you. And I encourage people to use the tools anytime they're under stress. So like a test is coming up at school, or you have to give an oral project and you're really nervous about standing up in front of the class. I'll often have people, in addition to practicing any routine coping skills like breathing, I'll have them incorporate rhythm or song into their thoughts. So a teen, for example, if you're taking a test and can sort of tap your leg in an unassuming way, just to have a slow rhythm. I'm doing it now and I'm slowing down a little bit, just to have a slow rhythm that reminds you that you're safe, that reminds your body that you can stay calm and still function in the face of this stressful test. If you're going to be up in front of people, there's certainly specific public speaking coping skills we can work with, but I do like to have people sort of run a song through their mind to sort of calm themselves down or amp themselves up if that's what they need. Some people want to get kind of psyched up before they're going to perform in front of their class, and so they might go to the bathroom and hum a quick song and then come back and do their presentation. So there's a lot of more subtle ways that teens can incorporate music and rhythm into their coping skill toolbox. So I encourage you, when you're thinking about using music as a coping skill, not only to do it in times of stress, but also to do it anytime you want to feel good throughout your day. So you can do it sort of proactively to manage your stress. And bring those rhythms, bring those music into perhaps your morning routine. I know at my house we turn music on first thing in the morning, and it helps us all kind of wake up, and we move our bodies a little bit dancing, and it's just kind of a joyful way to start the day. Other people like to listen to music or just hum tunes at the end of a day. And people who meditate often incorporate some kind of meditative music or even chanting in a rhythmic way to really help them calm and reset after a stressful day. So those are all ways you can use music. I know when I was growing up, I got so excited anytime music was part of any activity. And of course, there's traditional music lessons where you might learn to sing, or you might have music class at school. But there's also a lot of places out there that will just incorporate and infuse music into the various activities. So my favorite memories are of my summer camp when I was growing up. I was both a camper and a counselor at a camp called Camp Huckins, Camp Nellie Huckins in Freedom, New Hampshire. I'm still very connected to that camp. It's still one of my favorite places and favorite memories of my childhood. And I think part of the reason why I loved it so much then, and I still love it now, is that music was part of everything we did. It wasn't a music camp at all. It was a YMCA camp. But it was a place where we sang before meals, during meals, after meals. We sang when we were swimming. We sang when we were on the sports field or in the craft shop. We were just spontaneously singing all the time. And I feel like that incorporation of music into our day, and especially singing, even if you're not that great a singer, it's a way to foster more joy and excitement about whatever you're doing. And some people like singing alone so that nobody watches them, and some people like singing with other people. Some people like a combination of the two. Just get out there and sing, or make music with your drum or any instrument you're skilled at playing. Whatever it is, just find your joy and your self-soothing in music. So another reason I wanted to do this video was to just let you know that pretty soon we're going to be having a new series here at Butterfly Grove called Sensitive Music Time. And it's going to be a fun opportunity for anyone who wants to listen to use music as a calming, centering, coping skill. So stay tuned for that in the next few weeks. And if this resonated with you, I hope that you will check out more of my videos on the YouTube channel, as well as contact me if you're interested in learning more about my work or about the topics that I bring up in these videos. I leave those links below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.